weeks later, you wrote a lengthy apology to me in an email, begging me to forgive you, pointing out how you were betrayed by this particular writer, so you know how I must feel that you betrayed me. Did you tell the folks that, you bitch? This article is an article written on Deadspin.com. The title, How Jason Whitlock is Poisoning ESPN's Black Grant Land. I almost never say his name, and that is the name of Jason Whitlock. He is a guy that has a show on Blaze TV. He is the person that I directly allude to as that fat bastard. He's a no good individual, probably the worst individual I've ever had the displeasure of ever being associated with in any capacity, and I will address him in just a few minutes.
Man. So it's looking like Stephen A. Smith finally addressed the fat bastard Jason Whitlock by his name, man. Remember, we did a video about a month or so ago when Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock was going back and forth. Stephen A. Smith subliminally had addressed Jason Whitlock, and that's when he had initially called him the fat bastard. Stephen A. Smith, he did go on First Take, and this is what Stephen A. Smith had to say before he went on his podcast. Let's check it out right here. Here's a video.
There are people in the media, fat bastards to be specific, who are completely irrelevant and are starving for attention because all they have left is clicks because their credibility has been shredded everywhere else. And those people are left to be dealt with another day. But outside of that, I want to make sure that people out there who have their podcasts and have their platforms and all of this other stuff, if you're credible enough and I choose to care enough, I will respond off of anything that I have to say. All I ask is that if you're going to come at me, could you at least quote me accurately and contextualize accurately?
One other thing, there are people out there lying and actually putting out there that I didn't write my book. I can assure you, so help me God, I wrote my book. It's my memoir. It's my life story. I wasn't leaving that in the hands of
would
other
you
people.
ignore
So
people?
say
You
that
wrote for a
just
living.
lies.
You were a columnist for many years. Don't even don't even acknowledge
No, I'm just
that.
saying. I'm just saying. You just.
Yeah, you're better than that. Let's go.
Let's
go.
No, you can.
Okay, so that's Stephen A. Smith on First Take. As you can see, man, he seemed visibly upset, even cutting off Molly Karam from stopping him from getting his point across. And also, he was talking to Shannon Sharpe, and he even called Jason Whitlock a fat bastard on First Take. So that right there goes to show you that Jason Whitlock crossed the line this time. And the reason why I say this is because Jason Whitlock, he really zoned in and personally attacked Stephen A. Smith to expose him, going all the way back trying to find news articles about Stephen A. Smith from his high school days, college days, looking up information about his scholarship, talking about his book and everything, man. Like Jason Whitlock, he really went personal this time. And I think that's the reason why Stephen A. Smith addressed Jason Whitlock by name this time, just to let Jason Whitlock know, like, yo, this is personal now. So with that being said, guys, I would like to highlight what Jason Whitlock had to say, just in case if you guys missed Jason Whitlock comments on Stephen A. Smith. Let's check it out right here. Here's a video.
I'm listening to this going, oh my God. Does Katt Williams know who he's talking to in Shannon Sharpe and what he represents? Because when he talks about that cabal, that Steve Harvey and Ricky Smiley and all these guys, you know who's in that cabal in the sports media world? Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is a part of that cabal. Stephen A. Smith wrote, or had someone write, because Stephen A. Smith can't write, had someone write a memoir, Straight Shooter. And he shouldn't have done that, because I've read it. If you go look at Stephen A. Smith's narrative, many people, including myself, that know Stephen A. Smith's narrative is like, this makes no sense. This dude could barely write. Had editors at the Philadelphia Inquirer that had to rewrite everything. Stephen A. Smith, if you go read his memoir and listen to the stories he tells about getting a basketball scholarship to Winston-Salem State, it's so mind-blowingly preposterous and stupid and fabricated. Somehow sits out a year and goes and plays in one scrimmage game, and he gives a date of the scrimmage game. It's like it's in the middle of their season, They bring Stephen A. Smith up for a scrimmage at the end of their season, around NCAA conference tournament time. They bring him up, and he participates in the scrimmage and makes 17 straight shots, and they give him a full-ride basketball scholarship at a school that struggles to give out full-ride scholarships to more than 3 or 4 players on the team. Stephen A. Smith got one for making 17 straight shots in a scrimmage at the end of someone's regular season when he drove up from New York. Stephen A. Smith's on camera talking to Molly Karam and Jalen Rose and J.J. Redick, and they put up a stat. And we can play the video.
Before we dig into the NBA, take a look at this blind resume here. It's 3 players, their scoring average in each person's final college season. Do we have any guesses who this might be? Jalen, who do you think? What is this?
Nah, this is hilarious. JJ's on the right.
It's our starting lineup from tonight.
Well, they're not telling us I only played 1 game because I cracked my kneecap in half, but that's neither here nor there.
That is neither here nor there.
Stephen A. in comparison to J.J. Redick and Jalen Rose. And Stephen A. says on camera, well, what they don't tell you is, I only average 1 point a game because, or I only average that little a game because I only played in 1 game that year because I blew up my knee. Someone must have figured out later, like, Stephen A., we got you up here saying you average 1.5 points a game your senior year. You just said on camera you only played in 1 game your senior year because you blew out your knee. You can't average 1.5 points if you only played 1 game. Can't be done. Now, I'm not a math genius, but it cannot be done. So what he did, there's another video of Stephen A. Now, Stephen A., you got time to scrub it from the internet if you'd like. Where it's like 3 or 4 months later, Stephen A. figured out, like, oh, God, I screwed up. And so he went on the Stephen A. Smith podcast and said, he played the clip of them doing that. And then he said, it's all a lie. It was all a lie. I didn't play a damn game because I blew out my knee.
It's a lie. How about 0? Because I never played, because I cracked my kneecap in half.
Okay, salute to Clash of Sports. That's where I got the clips from. And also Jason Whitlock's YouTube channel. I'll have his video links down below, so you guys can go over there and check out the full video. All right, so let's get into what Stephen A. Smith had to say in response to that, because Stephen A. Smith addressed Jason Whitlock today by name on his YouTube channel. And this is what Stephen A. Smith had to say on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Here's the video. Be sure to hit that like button for me if you haven't already. That helps this YouTube channel continue to grow. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, stay up to date with all of my current YouTube videos. Peace.
The other would be a fat bastard that has gotten away for far too long talking his bullshit. You wanted some? Fine. I'm happy to give it to you, you piece of shit. Think about this for a second. I'm supposed to be covering sports, but I make a career out of talking about my colleagues. That ain't work. That's you finding some slick way to get a check because you can't get a job. That's Jason Whitlock. That's who the hell he is. I never uttered the words fat bastard out of my mouth until a few months ago. So that means that the previous 9 years, you never heard me speak on him at all. But now it's necessary. If you listen to the fat bastard, I didn't play high school ball, even though my coach's name was Harvey Stoller. It was Thomas A. Edison Vocational and Technical High School. I played there my senior year. I was in a basketball tournament at Fashion Institute of Technology where I dropped 27 points and got a scholarship because the coach came calling me after that and what have you. If you listen to him, I never had a scholarship to Winston-Salem State, even though it's on the books. Just call the university. But this man will tell you I'm lying. He even went so far as to say my autobiography, where I talk about my mother, my father, my sisters, the business, my hiring and firing and rehiring at ESPN. I didn't write it. I didn't write my own memoir. But he will tell you I didn't write it. He's seen my writing. Really? This article is an article written on Deadspin.com. The title, How Jason Whitlock is Poisoning ESPN's Black Grant land. Because remember, Bill Simmons, who's now at Spotify doing a great job, obviously had Grantland at ESPN, and upon his departure, Jason Whitlock was supposed to take up the mantle and create a black website for folks. This article was written by a Greg Howard, published on April 27th, 2015. The same Jason Whitlock that said he's seen my writing, the same Jason Whitlock that implied that I couldn't write, the same Jason Whitlock that said that I'm lying. What does this man do? Why would I call up this article? There's a plethora of reasons why I would do so, ladies and gentlemen. One of the reasons would be because it's as in-depth as it gets about how scurrilous, how trifling, how despicable this man is. But there's also another reason that I'd pick up this article. Let me read the graph to you that it says. Keep in mind, Stephen A can't write. This staff, the one Whitlock was praising by way of warnings that if the writers and editors wouldn't align with his vision, he would get rid of them, was not the one Whitlock wanted. The Undefeated, because that was the name of the title before it ultimately became Andscape. The Undefeated was originally meant to attract the best and brightest young black talent in the country, with Whitlock's aim set so high that he at one point seriously tried to recruit the Atlantic's Ta-Nehisi Coates, the sharpest cultural commentator in the business today. As things worked out, though, those young writers comprehensively refused to work with him. So did big-name ESPNers like Howard Bryant, Jemele Hill, and Stephen A. Smith. I couldn't write, huh? While you were on Blaze TV, spewing that bullshit to people. Did you tell them that? Did you tell them how you stood outside of First Take begging me to talk to you? Did you tell them that once this same article in Deadspin came out, weeks later you wrote a lengthy apology to me in an email, begging me to forgive you, pointing out how you were betrayed by this particular writer, so you know how I must feel that you betrayed me? Did you tell the folks that, you bitch? Did you tell them? You fat piece of shit. Did you tell them that? Got the names. We got Jemele Hill. We got Howard Bryant. You want me to bring up the other writers that wouldn't work for you? Why it took you nearly 2 years to get an article out? Because you ran that shit so bad you were running it into the ground? What a disgrace you were to John Skipper, the former boss of ESPN? Or the host of others? You want me to talk about that? Because I got receipts. I got the email. Want me to talk about that? Now, just for everybody that wants to understand, how could this possibly be? Because once upon a time, I actually tried to speak up for this damn cretin. I knew he was a piece of shit. But I said, look, maybe he's misunderstood.
Okay, that's what Stephen A. Smith had to say on his podcast. I'll have his full podcast linked down below as well, so you guys can go over there and check out the full live stream. And yeah, man, like I said, Jason Whitlock, he crossed the line this time as far as just personally really trying to attack Stephen A. Smith. I don't know what happened because I've been covering the Katt Williams news. But, you know, like I said, man, Jason Whitlock, he really went personal this time. So I really don't have no commentary on that. Just want to give you guys the update and the clips so you guys can get in the comment section down below and let me know your thoughts on this video. And how do you feel about Jason Whitlock calling out Stephen A. Smith, personally attacking him, researching his scholarship, and just doing what Jason Whitlock had did? And also, I want your thoughts on Stephen A. Smith's response. Do y'all think that Stephen A. Smith should just let it go and stop responding to Jason Whitlock? Because at the end of the day, him responding to Jason Whitlock would be considered as punching down and not punching up. And a lot of people would just say, yo, leave somebody like Jason Whitlock alone. ignore him, and he'll eventually just be talking to himself, basically, right? Because I guarantee Jason Whitlock now has content for at least a good month just based off Stephen A. Smith mentioning his name. So yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you made this far in the video. I really do appreciate that, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. I'll catch you guys on the next video, and we out, guys. Peace.